Hi guys! So a lot of you have been asking about my Pac-Man machine, and it's not an original, it's actually a replica I made about 3 years ago. So I wanted an arcade machine, and I wanted to originally make like just a generic shell, and just put name in there. So I thought, rather than just doing a bog standard arcade machine, with like arcade or name on the marquee, I thought, why don't I go with something that means something to me? And that is why I've gone for Pac-Man. So Pac-Man is probably the first game I ever played in the arcades. Might have been Space Invaders, but my earliest memory of playing on an arcade machine was Pac-Man. So it wasn't the full-size Pac-Man I played on, because there was three. There was this version, there was the cabaret version, and then you had the cocktail cabinet where you sit down and play it. And I know it was the cabaret because I remember there being, on the side, there was the wood vinyl, and I was able to play it without using like a stool or a chair, because I could reach the controllers and see the monitor. So I didn't actually make the shell. That was done by a guy who lives locally, who does bar tops, bar top arcades and cocktail tables. And I messaged him on Facebook and said, "Have you ever done a full-size arcade machine?" And I think he said no, he's never actually attempted to make one. And I said, "How would you like to make me just a shell, just the bog standard shape of the cabinet, for a 1-to-1 scale Pac-Man machine?" And then the next day he came back to me and said, "Yeah, I think I can do that," because he's got all the the CNC machines and the routers and what have you. And he came back to me with £400 just for the shell, which was not a bad price, I don't think. I mean, it meant that I didn't have to do it myself. And he brought it, he delivered it. I didn't pay for shipping because I paid for the shipping in one of these. I bought 2 of these from TK Maxx, and he said, "Tell you what, get me one, and I'll ship it for free." So yeah, he delivered it with his, I think it was his son who turned up, and I was shocked how big it was. I wasn't expected to. I knew how big the machines were, but once you get it inside a room, it sort of it makes the room look a lot smaller. Now, even though it is a replica, the marquee, the glass bezel, and the control panel are all originals, and same with the coin door and the coin mechs. So let's take a closer look on some of the features on this replica Pac-Man machine. So like I said, this is an original midway coin door. I'll just get it open. With original coin mechs and a very bodged job of connecting to the USB encoders. I just basically just cut some wires and just taped them together. I don't think I even soldered them, I just sort of twisted them round and put some electrical tape on. And inside there's a coin bucket. I think that's a replica of the original Midway coin buckets. And inside got the old PC there, you can hear the fans going round. 19-inch CRT. Now originally I was going to have an LCD flat screen, just screwed onto that piece of wood there, but my mate taught me into getting a CRT because they look better, and I'm glad he did, because there's nothing better than playing old arcade games on a CRT. Now those lines are actually the camera, they're not actually on the screen when you're playing the game. So the control panel, just undo the catches inside. And as you can see, I've replaced the joystick with a modern one. Now the original Pac-Man machine had leaf switches in the joysticks, whereas this one's a micro switch. And the only reason why I opted for this is because it's got 4-way and it's got 8-way, which means when you're playing games like Pac-Man, you just need the up, down, left and right. And when you're playing games like Commando, 1942, 1943, things like that, you can switch it. Oops, you can switch it so it's 8-way. Now there is an easier way of doing this, but I don't like doing it. So you can either switch it using that lever, and the other way, which I don't like to do, is to you pull the joystick up and twist it, but that always feels like I'm going to break it if I do that. So even though it's got a micro switch joystick, I've opted for leaf switch buttons, and you've got the USB encoder on there going to the PC. And as you can see, there's some cigarette burns there, a few scratches. So I prefer this control panel rather than getting a brand new overlay on there, because it shows its age and its history and the amount of use it would have got in the arcades. And the same goes with the bezel. And as you can see, parts of the bezel have started to crack. Now what I did when I got this, it was a lot worse than this. I started painting on the back because it's reverse printed. So I started painting with a white paint in these cracks here. Big mistake, because the paint ran, and it ran in between the existing paint and the glass. So obviously I can't get that out. So I stopped doing that, and then I started using white electrical tape instead. So for this side, I just put some white electrical tape on the back just to fill in the gaps. The same with the black bits with black electrical tape. Now I didn't bother touching this one up. There's a few scratches on it because you can see the light reflecting through it, but on the whole, it's not too bad. And then the speaker grill, that's not an original, that's a repro. It's an exact replica of the Midway speakers that was on the likes of Pac-Man, Mrs. Pac-Man, Gallagher, Galaxian. So after I got the cabinet delivered, I painted the whole cabinet inside and out with MDF sealer, and then I went over the sides and the back and the kick plate with I think it was a white undercoat. So I didn't bother painting the sides yellow because the entire sides have this vinyl on. The only bits I painted yellow was the back, which I can't get to. There's no wheels on it, so I can't wheel it out. And then these side bits here, and on the top and the back is identical to the original Pac-Man machine. The only thing I've not got is, you know, the little plaque that says copyright Namco, and then the serial number. And I think for me the easiest part about putting this thing together was attaching the T-moulding, because the guy who made the shell had routed the groove for the T-moulding, and it was just so easy just to tap this in. So what other games have I got in here? Well, let's have a look. Now I was actually thinking about changing this into an actual Pac-Man arcade machine and getting the original Pac-Man PCB board and hooking up to a power supply and just have it play Pac-Man. Because it would be nice to play Pac-Man on the original hardware, and I could even reinstall this. This is the actual leaf switch joystick. I mean, there's no wires or wiring loom at the moment, but I'm sure I could be able to clean that up and attach it so see, it doesn't click. It's so much nicer. Very rusty though. So yeah, what about the other games? So what I might do is get another separate vertical arcade machine and do what I did with this, but put the computer into that one, or maybe just a Raspberry Pi, and just have that for the other vertical games, and just have this purely for Pac-Man. But no, I'm not sure how much it's going to cost me or how much work is involved in that. Yeah, that's one to think about. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.